Hello fellow boomers, welcome back to our channel. Imagine there's a machine inside your body so sophisticated that every factory, every city, and every supercomputer humanity has ever built looks like a toy next to it. This machine is too small to see with the naked eye, and you have about 30 trillion of them. We call it a cell. Inside every single cell, thousands of processes are happening at the same time, every second. Genes switch on and off, proteins are built and broken down, signals race from one end to the other, all in staggeringly precise timing. And when even one small thing goes wrong in this choreography, disease begins. Cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disorders, and here's the great paradox of modern medicine. We've spent decades and billions of dollars on research, we've decoded the genome, we've built microscopes that can see individual atoms, and yet the truly complex diseases still beat us. We know more and more details, but we can't connect them into a complete picture. A scientist named Silvana Kahneman and her team at the Arc Institute believe they know why, and that there's another way. Their idea sounds like science fiction: to build a virtual cell. An artificial intelligence model that has learned the language of the cells themselves and can predict what's going wrong in the body and how to fix it. And if it works, it could fundamentally change the way we discover drugs and cure disease. But there's one unsettling question that most people never even think to ask, and the answer to it is exactly what will decide whether this dream comes true or falls apart. Before we dive in, if this kind of content fascinates you, hit like, share the video with someone who loves science, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, let's begin. Why the most important diseases stay unsolved? Let's admit an uncomfortable truth. Over the last few decades, science has defeated many diseases. Vaccines wiped out plagues, antibiotics turned deadly infections into minor nuisances, and even in cancer there are real breakthroughs today. But the diseases that truly frighten us, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, aggressive cancers, autoimmune conditions, stay stubborn. Why? Because they aren't caused by a single thing. They don't have one switch you can just flip off. When a disease has a single cause, say a defect in one gene, we know how to handle it. Find the gene, fix it, done. But a complex disease is like an orchestra that's spun out of control. It isn't one instrument playing off key, it's dozens of instruments playing out of time, influencing one another, each making the other's problem worse. Fix one instrument, and the rest keep playing wrong. And this is where the real limitation of today's science shows up. Human beings, even the most brilliant ones, simply can't hold all of those interactions in their heads at once. There are about 20,000 genes in the human body, and the number of possible combinations between them is greater than the number of atoms in the universe. No researcher, and no lab, can test them all. As Kahneman describes it, we're trying to solve an enormous puzzle by examining one piece at a time, but the full picture lives in the connections between the pieces, and that's exactly what we can't see. So what do you do when a problem is too big for a human mind to grasp? You hand it to a machine that can. Here's where the beautiful idea comes in. Think about how artificial intelligence learned to speak. We didn't teach it grammar and rules. We let it read enormous amounts of text, and it figured out the patterns on its own. Which words follow which, how a sentence is built, the inner logic of language. Now imagine doing exactly the same thing, not with words, but with cells. It turns out that cells have a language too. At any given moment, every cell expresses which genes are active and how strongly. A kind of living sentence describing its state. A healthy cell says one thing, a sick cell says another, and when you collect enough of those sentences, patterns start to emerge, the hidden grammar of life itself. That's exactly what the virtual cell is trying to learn. Instead of a single researcher guessing which gene matters, you let the AI read the language of millions of cells and identify on its own the patterns no human would ever notice. Cells are talking to us all the time, Kahneman says. We just never had a tool that knew how to listen to everything they're saying, all at once. A billion experiments. But for an AI to learn a language, it needs a massive number of examples, and this is where it truly gets jaw-dropping. Kahneman's team at the Arc Institute is building the virtual cell on a scale of data never seen before. Roughly 1 billion biological experiments. A billion. Each of them is a glimpse into what happens inside a cell. What happens when you turn a gene on, switch another off, add a drug, change a condition. Think about the difference. A single researcher in a lab, even a very talented one, can maybe run a few hundred such experiments a year. The virtual cell learns from a billion. It's like the difference between a person who read a few books and a system that read every book ever written. And once you have a model that has learned from that much data, something magical happens. It doesn't just remember what it saw, it starts to predict things it has never seen. You can ask it, what will happen to this cell if we make this change? And it will give an answer without needing to run to the lab and test it in reality. This is the point where medicine shifts from a science of guess and check to a science of prediction. Instead of testing 10,000 compounds in a lab and hoping one works, you ask the model which ones are most promising, and focus only on those. The goal, Kahneman explains, is to reach a point where we can test a hypothesis about a disease inside a computer in moments, instead of months or years in the lab. So what does this look like in practice? Take a disease like Alzheimer's. Today, developing a drug for Alzheimer's is a nightmare. Decades, billions of dollars, and most of the trials fail. Why? Because we don't really understand what's going wrong inside the brain cells. We're firing in the dark and hoping to hit something. With a virtual cell, the story changes. You can take a sick brain cell, ask the model what exactly fell out of balance in its inner language, and then test, still inside the computer, which interventions would return it to a healthy state. Only the most promising candidates move on to real trials. This doesn't replace the lab or the clinical trials, but it focuses them dramatically. Instead of hunting for a needle in a haystack, the model tells you which haystack to search in the first place. And the beauty is that it isn't limited to a single disease. A universal virtual cell, one that understands the basic language of human cells, could in principle serve research into cancer, autoimmune diseases, rare disorders, and even the aging process. It's the same infrastructure, pointed at any question you like. And it's worth remembering, this is part of a broader movement across science. ARC's effort isn't the only one. Many labs and companies are trying today to build foundation models for biology, exactly the way foundation models were built for language. The idea of a virtual cell has become one of the most talked about directions at the meeting point of biology and artificial intelligence. Now let's come back to that unsettling question we mentioned at the start, the one most people never think to ask. The question isn't, can we build a virtual cell? It's, can we trust it? Because here's the problem. An AI model is only as good at prediction as the data it learned from, and in biology, the data isn't always perfect. Experiments are noisy, cells vary, and what's true for one cell isn't necessarily true for another. If the model learns a mistaken pattern, it might confidently point to a drug that simply won't work, or worse. In the world of language, if a chatbot is wrong, you get a weird sentence. In the world of medicine, a mistake can cost years of research, a lot of money, and in the worst case, people's health. That's why every prediction the virtual cell makes has to pass real verification in the lab before anyone trusts it. Kahneman herself is careful about this. She doesn't promise magic. We're not trying to replace the experiment, she says. We're trying to be far smarter about which experiments are even worth doing. And that's actually the very thing that makes this project credible. It isn't built on a promise that the machine knows everything, but on a partnership. The machine suggests, the human verifies. Together, they cover what neither of them could alone. You might think all of this is far away, a world of scientists, labs, and supercomputers, but stop for a moment and think. Almost every one of us has someone close who has faced cancer, dementia, or a disease with no cure. Behind every one of these unsolvable diseases are real people, families, stories. And every year we shave off the road to a cure is a year of life. That's exactly what makes the idea of the virtual cell so exciting. It doesn't promise a miracle cure by tomorrow morning, but it offers a completely new tool to tackle the problems we thought were too hard, too complex, too big for the human mind. And maybe that's the big lesson here. For generations we thought the key to medicine was to know more details. Maybe the real key is to finally succeed in connecting all the details into one picture. And that's exactly what artificial intelligence may let us do for the first time in history. The human cell may be the most complex thing we know of in the universe, and for the first time we have a tool that might, just might, be able to truly understand it. So the next time you hear artificial intelligence, don't think only of chatbots and images. Think of a machine that reads the secret language of your body and searches for the way to heal it. The dream of Silvana Kahneman and the team at ARC is still in its early days. There's a lot of work ahead, a lot of verification, and a lot of open questions. But if they're right, we're standing at the edge of a new era in medicine. An era where we won't just ask what's broken, but say, let's predict exactly how to fix it. And I want to know what you think. Would you trust an AI's prediction about your own health? Tell me in the comments. If this video taught you something new, hit like, share it with someone who'd find it interesting, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on the science shaping our future. See you in the next one.